Right now, California is #1 in prison spending and 50 in education. Most people don't know that I love education, that I love to wake up and go to school every day, that I love to pick up a book and read. But because of how I look, where I come from, how I dress, and the people I associate with, I got pushed away from college track into prison track. In 10th grade, 3 weeks before the end of the school year, my school finally gave up on me. You see, I had an outburst. My buttons was pushed, and I flipped the table I had been sitting on after water was thrown on me by another student. I did not touch or harm anyone. I didn't raise a single hand to that student. I flipped the table, and for that I was expelled. As a result, everyone around me gave up on me. I was pushed out and left behind. I found myself trying to survive without the essential tools and skills that most people are equipped with to succeed in society. This path that expulsion from my school set me on led me to getting kicked out of my house and left me in a dark place. That place was homelessness, desperation, and eventually a one-way ticket to LA County Jail. Even though the system gave up on me, my thirst for education was still there. So I found ways to obtain knowledge, and I was lucky because I found knowledge around me and within me. Last fall, I started at the Youth Justice Coalition High School, Free LA. It stands for Fight for the Revolution that will educate and empower Los Angeles. The first thing that makes Free LA High School different is when you walk in, you are met with an environment that is welcoming, loving, and free.
As I listened, and as I have a son and grandsons and a husband, I know the issues that they've gone through. And I can remember a time when my son was playing around as a teenager, maybe 16, 17, and he had a toy gun. And he ran out the door with this toy gun in his belt. And I panicked and called him back. And I had to be very forceful and say to my husband, "Did you see what he just did?" And he says, "You can't do that. If there had been a police car going by, you might have been shot." So I understand what we have to tell our kids. And I understand how we have to get a handle on this issue, because school to prison pipelines, that has to stop. That has to stop in this state and in our nation.
What the research really shows is that the best way, and Chief Davis alluded to this, the best way to keep kids off the streets and out of trouble is by keeping them in school, learning, and on track to graduate. A student who's dropped out of high school is 3.5 times more likely to be arrested than a high school graduate. A student who's dropped out is 8 times more likely to end up incarcerated. And this
What we've seen is that a lot of things that go on in the school happen out of tradition, out of kind of this normalized system of this is how we do things. And what we're really trying to do is try to break those trends and really create schools that are effective at meeting students' needs and really are capable to adjusting to the different challenges that students have in their life. We think about the times when schools used to actually physically paddle students to kind of get a point across, and hopefully as we moved away from that, we can move away from suspending students and really looking at how we can empower the community to kind of handle these problems and pull people in rather than pushing them out and preventing them from having a chance to really excel and succeed and be able to have the type of college and career goals that they have for themselves and their families.
Faculty. Our work is based on the radical assumption, and in a school building, this really is a radical assumption, that the young person is not the problem. The problem is the problem. Students long identified as angry, defiant, or low-performing are invited into a space where they are seen and known for what they value, what they stand for, and who they most want to be in the world. Through this work, our young people are able to move from the margins of the school community to the center.
And we follow this quote from Frederick Douglass, which sums up pretty much what we do. "It is easier to build strong children than to repair broken men." And
One is AB 549, which is authored by Mr. Jones Sawyer, also a member of the committee, which really takes the first step at reconfiguring how we do safety and increasing the role of mental health services in school safety plans. And then also AB 1178, which is a 2-year bill. And the chief put up the different pictures of the different connections with violence between schools and students and communities. And that's one of the ways we can also address it through the creation of promised neighborhoods. So again, we just encourage folks to support these legislative efforts. Many members of the committee are behind them, and they're really different ways of addressing the different notions of keeping schools safe and really making everything successful for students. Thank you.
I want to thank my colleagues who have come here today, and I want to let you know, for those in the audience, it's not often when you have just a hearing that you get 9 assembly members to come in and sit in a hearing, that it's not a policy hearing. And that's important because they've demonstrated their commitment to these issues and to this committee. So I want to thank those who are still here and those who had to leave and handle other legislative duties today. But it's important that they showed how important this issue is by being here today. So